Hey there, you're looking kind of cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out all my other socials. Enjoy. The elevator doors slid open with a soft ding, revealing a pristine hospital corridor bathed in fluorescent light. Brandon stepped out, his designer loafers squeaking against the polished linoleum floor. He tugged at the collar of his tailored suit, a nervous habit he'd developed since his world had been turned upside down. The sterile smell of disinfectant assaulted his nostrils as he made his way to the doctor's office. Each step felt heavier than the last, the weight of his impending consultation pressing down on him like an invisible force. Brandon paused outside the door, his hand hovering over the handle. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for what lay ahead. With a resigned sigh, he pushed the door open and entered. Dr. Lang looked up from her desk, her glasses perched on the bridge of her nose. "Mr. Thompson, please come in and have a seat." Brandon lowered himself into the chair across from her, his posture stiff and uncomfortable. Let's cut to the chase, Doc. What's the verdict?" Dr. Lang's expression softened, her eyes filled with a mixture of sympathy and professional detachment. "I'm afraid the news isn't good, Brandon. The necrosis has progressed further than we initially thought." Brandon's jaw clenched, his knuckles turning white as he gripped the armrests. "How bad are we talking?" "The affected tissue needs to be removed immediately," Dr. Lang said, her tone grave. "But given the extent of the damage and the unique circumstances of your case, we need to discuss your options moving forward." Brandon leaned back, his mind reeling. "Options? What options? Just fix me, damn it." Dr. Lang sighed, removing her glasses and placing them on the desk. "It's not that simple, Brandon. The treatments you underwent, they've altered your body chemistry significantly. Your hormone levels, tissue structure, they're all in flux." "What are you saying?" Brandon's voice was barely above a whisper, fear creeping into his tone. "Given the changes your body has undergone and the extent of the tissue we need to remove, we believe the best course of action would be gender reassignment surgery." The words hit Brandon like a physical blow. He stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. "You can't be serious. There has to be another way." Dr. Lang raised her hands in a placating gesture. "Please sit down. Let's discuss this calmly." Brandon paced the small office, running his hands through his hair. Calmly? You're telling me I have to become a woman? And you want me to be calm?" "It's not a decision to be made lightly," Dr. Lang said, her voice steady. "But medically speaking, it's the option that gives you the best chance at a healthy, pain-free life." Brandon collapsed back into the chair, his head in his hands. "This can't be happening. It's a nightmare." Dr. Lang leaned forward, her voice gentle. "I know this is a lot to process, but Brandon, I need you to understand the gravity of the situation. If we don't act soon, the necrosis will spread. We're talking about your life here." Brandon looked up, his eyes red-rimmed. "My life? Doc, my life is being a man. My power, my identity, it's all tied to who I am as a man. How am I supposed to just give that up?" "Identity isn't just about our physical bodies, Brandon," Dr. Lang said softly. "It's about who we are inside, our experiences, our thoughts, our feelings. Those don't change with surgery." Brandon shook his head, a bitter laugh escaping his lips. "Easy for you to say. You're not the one being told to change everything about yourself." Dr. Lang stood up, walking around her desk to sit in the chair next to Brandon. "I know it seems impossible right now, but I've seen patients go through this before. It's a journey, yes, but many find it to be a transformative experience. They discover new aspects of themselves they never knew existed." Brandon looked at her, his eyes searching for any sign of deceit or false hope. "And what if I can't do it? What if I go through with this and hate every moment of it?" "Then we'll cross that bridge when we come to it," Dr. Lang said firmly. "But right now we need to focus on saving your life. The rest we'll figure out together." Brandon sat in silence for a long moment, his mind a whirlwind of conflicting thoughts and emotions. Finally, He spoke, his voice barely audible. "How long do I have to decide?" "Given the progression of the necrosis, we need to schedule the surgery within the next 2 weeks," Dr. Lang replied. "I know it's not much time, but 2 weeks," Brandon repeated, the words tasting like ash in his mouth. 2 weeks to decide if I want to keep living as a shadow of myself or become someone entirely new. Dr. Lang placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. "You're not alone in this, Brandon. We have support groups, counselors, people who can help you through every step of this process." Brandon nodded numbly, his mind already elsewhere. I need some time to think." "Of course," Dr. Lang said, standing up. "Take a few days, process this information. But please, don't wait too long to make a decision. Your health is at stake." Brandon rose from his chair, his movements mechanical. As he reached for the door handle, Dr. Lang called out to him. "Brandon, remember, this isn't the end. It's a new beginning." He paused, his hand on the door. Without turning around, he spoke, his voice thick with emotion. "A beginning I never asked for." With that, he left the office, the door closing softly behind him. The next few days passed in a blur for Brandon. He moved through his life like a ghost, going through the motions of his daily routine while his mind grappled with the impossible decision before him. He found himself standing in front of his full-length mirror, studying his reflection with a mixture of despair and resignation. The changes in his body were subtle but undeniable. His once chiseled jawline had softened, his skin smoother and more delicate. He ran a hand over his chest, feeling the slight swell that had begun to form there. "Who are you?" he whispered to his reflection, searching for any trace of the man he once was. The ringing of his phone startled him out of his reverie. He glanced at the caller ID and felt a knot form in his stomach. It was his ex-wife, Catherine. With a deep breath, he answered. "Catherine." "Brandon," her voice came through, a mix of concern and guilt. "How are you holding up?" He let out a bitter laugh. "How do you think? My body's falling apart, and now I'm being told I need to become a woman to survive. All thanks to your brilliant medical advice." There was a pause on the other end of the line. When Catherine spoke again, her voice was thick with emotion. "I'm so sorry, Brandon. I never meant for any of this to happen. I thought I was helping you." "Helping me?" Brandon's voice rose. "You've destroyed me, Catherine. Everything I am, everything I've built my life around, it's all slipping away." "It doesn't have to be destruction," Catherine said softly. "It can be transformation, a chance to see life from a different perspective." Brandon sank onto the edge of his bed, his free hand gripping the sheets. "You don't understand. My whole identity, my sense of power, it's all tied to being a man. How am I supposed to just let that go?" "Maybe it's not about letting go," Catherine suggested. "Maybe it's about finding a new kind of strength, a different kind of power." Brandon closed his eyes, feeling the sting of tears threatening to fall. "I don't know if I can do this, Catherine." "You can," she said firmly. "You're one of the strongest people I know, Brandon. Man or woman, that strength is still inside you." They talked for a while longer, Catherine offering words of encouragement and support. When Brandon finally hung up, he felt a strange mix of emotions, anger, fear, but also a tiny flicker of something he couldn't quite name. Hope, perhaps? The next morning, Brandon found himself back in Dr. Lang's office. He sat across from her, his decision made, but the words stuck in his throat. Dr. Lang waited patiently, her kind eyes watching him with understanding. Finally, Brandon spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'll do it." Dr. Lang nodded, a small smile on her face. "You're making the right choice, Brandon. For your health and your future." "I don't know about that," Brandon said, his voice shaky. "But I know I want to live, and if this is what it takes, then I'll do it." "It won't be easy," Dr. Lang warned. "The physical changes are just the beginning. There will be emotional and psychological challenges as well." Brandon nodded, his jaw set in determination. "I've never backed down from a challenge before. I'm not about to start now. Dr. Lang leaned forward, her expression serious. There's something else we need to discuss, Brandon. As part of this process, it might be helpful for you to consider adopting a new name. Something that reflects the new chapter of your life you're about to begin. Brandon felt a jolt of panic at the suggestion. It was one thing to change his body, but his name? That felt like erasing the last piece of his old self. I don't know, he stammered. My name is all I have left of who I was. Dr. Lang's voice was gentle but firm. Think of it not as losing your old self, but as embracing a new aspect of who you are. A name can be powerful, Brandon. It can help you step into this new role, give you the strength to face the challenges ahead. Brandon sat in silence for a long moment, turning the idea over in his mind. Finally, he spoke, his voice barely audible. Brenda, I think I'd like to be called Brenda. Dr. Lang smiled warmly. Brenda it is then. Now, let's talk about the next steps in your journey. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of appointments, consultations, and preparations. Brandon, now Brenda, threw herself into the process with the same determination and focus she had once applied to her business dealings. The day of the surgery arrived all too quickly. As Brenda lay on the operating table, the anesthesia beginning to take effect, she felt a strange mix of fear and anticipation. The last thing she saw before drifting off was Dr. Lang's reassuring smile. When Brenda awoke, everything felt different. Her body was sore and unfamiliar, wrapped in bandages and connected to various machines. But beneath the physical discomfort, there was something else. A sense of rightness she couldn't quite explain. The recovery process was long and often painful. There were days when Brenda wondered if she had made the right choice, moments of doubt and fear that threatened to overwhelm her, but with each passing week, as her body healed and changed, she found herself growing more comfortable in her new skin. One morning, about 3 months after the surgery, Brenda stood in front of her mirror, really looking at herself for the first time since the operation. Her hair had grown out, softening the lines of her face. Her body, once angular and hard, now curved in ways that still surprised her. She ran her hands over her new contours, marveling at the softness of her skin. For the first time, she didn't feel like she was looking at a stranger. The person in the mirror was her. Different, yes, but undeniably her. A knock at the door interrupted her reflection. It was Catherine, who had become an unexpected source of support throughout this process. "How are you feeling today?" Catherine asked as she entered the room. Brenda turned to face her, a small smile playing on her lips. "I feel good. Really good, actually." Catherine's eyes widened in surprise and delight. "That's wonderful, Brenda. You look radiant." Brenda felt a blush creep up her cheeks at the compliment. It was a new sensation, this softness, this vulnerability. But instead of feeling weak, as she had feared, it made her feel strangely powerful. "I never thought I'd say this," Brenda said, her voice filled with wonder. "But I think I'm starting to love this new me." Catherine crossed the room and took Brenda's hands in hers. "I'm so proud of you, Brenda. You've shown incredible strength through all of this." Brenda squeezed Catherine's hands, feeling a surge of gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without you, without all of you." As they stood there, hands clasped, Brenda felt a shift inside her. The fear and resistance that had clouded her mind for so long began to dissipate, replaced by a growing sense of excitement for the future. Over the next few months, Brenda threw herself into embracing her new identity. She worked with a voice coach to soften her speech patterns, took classes in makeup application, and slowly began to build a new wardrobe that reflected her evolving style. One sunny afternoon, Brenda found herself in a high-end boutique, surrounded by racks of elegant dresses and stylish suits. As she ran her hands over the soft fabrics, marveling at the intricate designs, she caught sight of her reflection in a nearby mirror. The woman staring back at her was a far cry from the hard-edged businessman she had once been. Her hair fell in soft waves around her face, expertly applied makeup enhancing her features. She wore a fitted blazer and pencil skirt that hugged her new curves, a pair of heels adding height and confidence to her stance. For a moment, Brenda felt a pang of nostalgia for her old self. But as she continued to study her reflection, she realized that the core of who she was, her intelligence, her drive, her strength, was still there, just manifested in a different form. A sales associate approached, a friendly smile on her face. "Can I help you find anything specific, ma'am?" The word ma'am sent a thrill through Brenda. It was a small thing, but it represented how far she had come. She turned to the associate, her own smile widening. "Yes, actually. I have an important business meeting next week, and I need something that says powerful but approachable." The associate's eyes lit up at the challenge. "I have just the thing. Follow me." As Brenda tried on outfit after outfit, she found herself enjoying the process in a way she never had before. Each new look felt like an opportunity to express a different facet of herself. Finally, she settled on a sleek navy blue dress with a subtle pattern and a matching blazer. As she stood before the mirror in the dressing room, Brenda felt a surge of confidence. This wasn't just a costume she was putting on, it was an extension of who she was becoming. Later that week, Brenda stood outside the boardroom where her first major business meeting since her transition was about to take place. She took a deep breath, smoothing down her dress and checking her reflection one last time in her compact mirror. As she entered the room, all eyes turned to her. For a moment, Brenda felt a flutter of anxiety in her stomach, but then she straightened her spine, lifted her chin, and strode confidently to the head of the table. "Good morning, everyone," she said, her voice clear and strong. "Shall we begin?" The meeting progressed smoothly, with Brenda leading the discussion with the same sharp business acumen she had always possessed. But there was a difference now, a softness in her approach, a nuanced understanding of interpersonal dynamics that she had never quite grasped before. As the meeting drew to a close, Brenda could see the impressed looks on her colleagues' faces. She had not only held her own, but had excelled, bringing a fresh perspective to old problems. One of her longtime business partners, James, approached her as the others filed out of the room. "Brenda," he said, a note of admiration in his voice. "That was impressive. You haven't lost your touch at all." Brenda smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. "Thank you, James. In fact, I think I might have gained a few new tricks." As she packed up her things and prepared to leave, Brenda caught sight of herself in the reflection of the boardroom window. The woman looking back at her was poised, confident, and undeniably powerful. But it was a different kind of power than she had known before. Not the brute force of masculinity, but a more subtle, pervasive influence. For the first time since beginning this journey, Brenda felt truly at peace with her decision. She had not lost herself in this transformation. She had found a new, more authentic version of herself. As the weeks turned into months, Brenda found herself settling into her new life with increasing comfort and confidence. She continued to excel in her business dealings, her unique perspective often giving her an edge in negotiations and strategic planning. One evening, as she was preparing for a charity gala, Brenda stood in front of her full-length mirror, carefully applying her makeup. She marveled at how natural these actions had become, how comfortable she now felt in her own skin. The doorbell rang, interrupting her preparations. Brenda quickly finished her lipstick and went to answer it, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor. She opened the door to find Dr. Lang standing there, looking elegant in a black evening gown. "Dr. Lang," Brenda said, surprise coloring her voice, "I didn't expect to see you here." Dr. Lang smiled warmly. "Please call me Emma. I hope you don't mind, but I heard about the gala and thought I might accompany you." "If you'd like, of course." Brenda felt a flutter in her stomach, a sensation she hadn't experienced in a long time. "I'd love that, Emma. Please come in while I finish getting ready." As Emma entered the apartment, her eyes widened in appreciation. "Brenda, you look stunning." Brenda felt a blush creep up her cheeks. "Thank you. You look beautiful as well." There was a moment of charged silence between them, filled with unspoken possibility. Brenda cleared her throat, suddenly feeling nervous in a way she hadn't since her transition began. "I'll just be a few more minutes. Make yourself comfortable." As Brenda retreated to her bedroom to finish her preparations, her mind was racing. Was she reading too much into Emma's presence, or was there something more developing between them? When she emerged, fully dressed in a shimmering silver gown, Emma's sharp intake of breath told her all she needed to know. "Shall we?" Brenda asked, extending her arm. Emma took it with a smile. "We shall." The gala was a whirlwind of music, champagne, and conversation. Brenda found herself at ease in a way she never had been at these events before. She moved through the crowd with grace, engaging in witty banter and making new connections with effortless charm. Throughout the evening, she was acutely aware of Emma's presence by her side. Their hands would brush as they reached for their drinks, their eyes would meet across the room, each glance charged with unspoken attraction. As the night wore on, they found themselves on the balcony, the cool night air a welcome respite from the crowded ballroom. "You've come so far, Brenda," Emma said softly, her eyes shining in the moonlight. "I hope you know how proud I am of you." Brenda turned to face her, her heart pounding. "I couldn't have done it without you, Emma. You've been my rock through all of this." Emma reached out, gently tucking a stray strand of hair behind Brenda's ear. The touch sent shivers down Brenda's spine. "It's been my honor to be part of your journey," Emma whispered. In that moment, all the doubts and fears that had plagued Brenda throughout her transition melted away. She leaned in, her lips meeting Emma's in a soft kiss. As they pulled apart, both women were breathless. Brenda searched Emma's eyes, finding only warmth and acceptance there. "I never expected this," Brenda said, her voice barely above a whisper. "To feel this complete." Emma smiled, taking Brenda's hand in hers. "Sometimes the most beautiful transformations are the ones we never saw coming." As they stood there, hand in hand under the starlit sky, Brenda felt a profound sense of peace wash over her. She had embarked on this journey out of necessity, driven by the need to survive, but somewhere along the way, it had become about more than just survival. It had become about thriving, about discovering a version of herself that was more authentic and alive than she had ever been before. The months that followed were filled with joy and discovery as Brenda and Emma's relationship blossomed. They took things slowly, both aware of the unique circumstances that had brought them together and the potential complications of their doctor-patient history. Brenda found herself opening up in ways she never had before, sharing her fears, her dreams, and her deepest insecurities with Emma. In turn, Emma provided unwavering support and understanding, helping Brenda navigate the complex emotional landscape of her new identity. One lazy Sunday morning, as they lay tangled in the sheets of Brenda's bed, Emma propped herself up on an elbow, studying Brenda's face with a thoughtful expression. "What are you thinking?" Brenda asked, reaching up to trace the line of Emma's jaw. Emma caught her hand, pressing a kiss to her palm. "I was just thinking about how far you've come. Do you ever regret your decision?" Brenda was quiet for a moment, considering the question. It was something she had asked herself many times over the past year. Finally, she spoke, her voice soft but sure. "No," she said. "I don't regret it. It wasn't an easy journey, and there were times when I thought I'd made a terrible mistake. But now," she paused, searching for the right words. "Now I feel like I'm finally living as my true self. I'm stronger than I ever was before, but in a different way, a better way." Emma's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. "You're extraordinary, Brenda. You faced challenges that would break most people, and you've come out the other side even more amazing than before." Brenda pulled Emma close, hugging her deeply. When they finally parted, both women were breathless. "I couldn't have done it without you," Brenda whispered. "You saw the real me even when I couldn't see it myself." As they lay there, wrapped in each other's arms, Brenda reflected on the twists and turns her life had taken. What had started as a medical necessity had become a journey of self-discovery, leading her to a place of self-acceptance and love she had never thought possible. She thought about the man she used to be, driven, successful, but always feeling like something was missing. That man would never have imagined the life she was living now, the happiness she had found. Brenda realized that her transformation hadn't just been physical. She had discovered a strength within herself that went beyond muscles and testosterone. It was a strength born of vulnerability, of facing her fears, and embracing change. As she drifted off to sleep, Brenda felt a profound sense of gratitude wash over her. Gratitude for the second chance at life she had been given, for the love she had found, and for the woman she had become. In the years that followed, Brenda continued to thrive. Her business acumen, combined with her new perspective on life, led to even greater success in her career. She became known not just for her sharp mind and strategic thinking, but for her empathetic leadership style and ability to build strong, collaborative teams. She and Emma's relationship deepened, growing into a partnership built on mutual respect, understanding, and love. They supported each other through the ups and downs of life, celebrating each other's successes and providing comfort during difficult times. Brenda also became an advocate for transgender rights, using her platform and resources to support others going through similar journeys. She spoke at conferences, donated to organizations, and mentored young trans individuals, always emphasizing the message that it's never too late to become who you truly are. One evening, as Brenda stood at a podium, addressing a room full of business leaders and activists, she felt a sense of completeness she had never known before. Looking out at the sea of faces, she saw not just colleagues and supporters, but a community she was proud to be part of. "Life doesn't always go as planned," she said, her voice strong and clear. "Sometimes the path we thought we were meant to follow turns out to be a detour, but it's in those unexpected turns that we often find our true selves." She paused, her eyes finding Emma in the audience. Emma gave her an encouraging smile, and Brenda felt her heart swell with love. "My journey taught me that strength comes in many forms," she continued. "It's not about conforming to society's expectations or clinging to outdated notions of power. True strength lies in having the courage to be authentically yourself, no matter what obstacles you face." As applause filled the room, Brenda felt a sense of peace wash over her. She had come full circle, from a man who equated masculinity with power to a woman who had found a different, more profound kind of strength. Later that night, as she and Emma walked hand in hand along the moonlit beach near their home, Brenda reflected on the incredible journey that had brought her to this moment. "You know," she said, stopping to face Emma, "there was a time when I thought my life was over. When the doctors first told me about the necrosis, about the need for surgery, I felt like I was losing everything that made me who I was." Emma squeezed her hand encouragingly. "And now?" Brenda smiled, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "Now I realize that I didn't lose myself at all. I found myself. The real me. The person I was always meant to be." Emma reached up, gently wiping away a tear that had escaped down Brenda's cheek. "You're the strongest person I know, Brenda. Man or woman, that strength was always a part of you. You just needed to find a new way to express it." Brenda pulled Emma close, hugging her deeply. As they stood there, the waves lapping at their feet and the stars twinkling overhead, Brenda felt a profound sense of gratitude for the twisted path that had led her to this moment of perfect happiness. She had started this journey fighting against the changes happening to her body, clinging desperately to an identity that no longer fit. But through the pain, the fear, and the uncertainty, she had emerged as a woman who was more confident, more compassionate, and more truly herself than she had ever been before. As they turned to continue their walk along the beach, Brenda realized that her transformation wasn't just about changing from male to female. It was about shedding the constraints of societal expectations and embracing all aspects of herself, the strength and the softness, the confidence and the vulnerability. She had discovered that true power doesn't come from conforming to rigid definitions of gender or success, but from having the courage to live authentically, to love openly, and to use one's voice to make a positive difference in the world. As the moon cast its silvery light across the water, Brenda looked to the future with hope and excitement. She didn't know what challenges tomorrow might bring, but she knew that with Emma by her side and the strength she had discovered within herself, she was ready to face whatever life had in store. In that moment, standing on the edge of the vast ocean, Brenda felt truly free. Free from the expectations that had once constrained her, free from the fear that had held her back, and free to live as the woman she was always meant to be. And in that freedom, she had found a happiness and a sense of purpose that she never could have imagined in her old life. It wasn't the end of her story, but rather the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with love, growth, and endless possibilities. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.